Over this weekend, even though it was a holiday weekend, we are seeing a lot of peril and a lot of FUD in the crypto markets. We're going to go through what is causing this. What are the factors that people are so concerned about in the market? Could there be an unwinding of some of the biggest companies once again in crypto, similar to the FTX situation, or are we going to see this pass over? And this FUD could actually end up being a very good long-term buy opportunity, as the fear and greed is now reaching very, very low sentiment as far as maximum fear in this current market climate. So could we see a bounce for the rest of the year? What is everyone worried about in the market? We have you covered today. Without further ado, let's jump into it. We will keep this video short and sweet just to update you guys on what is happening in the market. Obviously, over the holiday weekend, a lot of people step away from the computer. They probably logged in this morning and said, whoa, I thought I opened my phone and we were over 90,000 on Saturday. So let's go ahead and break down the markets. But first and foremost, if you guys are new to the channel or if you enjoy the content, like the video down below and subscribe to the channel for more. Every single day here on In the Game, we have you covered top to bottom with everything you need to know across the world of crypto. And of course, a big shout out to our sponsors here on In the Game. We have some incredible sponsors here from 𝗏𝗏𝗏, Blowfin, 𝗏𝗏𝗏, and more. And I want to give a big shout out today to 𝗏𝗏𝗏. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 is the premier perps dex across the ZK Sync network. And right now, I think that this airdrop is really shaping up to be on par with some of the other things we have seen, like Hyperliquid or Aster. Right now, points average per airdrop point is estimated between $25 to $37. Obviously, that is not promised, but on projections, on valuation, that's what it's looking like right now. You can trade over 75 total markets, and over the last 24 hours, there have been over $1 billion in trading volume here on 𝗏𝗏𝗏. So link down below in the description to get started and start farming the 𝗏𝗏𝗏 airdrop. Now let's break down the market. So this market is painful. I am not going to lie to you. It's not fun. I don't like making content in this market because you kind of have to break down the negatives. What is happening in crypto? What could be the worst case scenario? Do we see the worst case scenario? And what do we do to act upon what is happening in this market? So let's just jump into it. Obviously, Bitcoin's getting hammered, down 7% over the 24-hour time period, which for Bitcoin standards is quite a lot. And I will say, I agree with this tweet here. My timeline has not been this bearish since like literally FTX. And we've been saying this for a couple of weeks. I feel like I've been getting all the fear shoved in my face on my crypto timeline on Twitter. And I think the algos are definitely feeding it to us. So it is interesting to see how far we have slid from August when we hit all-time highs. And then also when we had a new all-time high at 126K. Things have changed. We're down 40,000 on Bitcoin since then as far as price at 84 from 126K. And yes, I mean, when we look at the fear and greed index, 1 month ago, we were at 44. And today we are at 25 on the fear and greed index. Now, there are a lot of factors for this. What is happening in the market? First of all, a tale as old as time. We're seeing the Tether FUD. Tether FUD happens every cycle, every bull run. And as we see here, Arthur Hayes is, coming out with a few things that he might be concerned about with the USDT Tether stablecoin. Personally speaking, I don't think that there's ever been actual risk that Tether goes under. And we look here over the course of history. These are just a few examples. Whenever we see here, hedge funds are targeting Tether, borrowing hundreds of millions in loans to short, the Terra Luna collapse. After that, we saw nothing but a climb in the market here. On the Lunar Crush, Tether FUD was the highest it's been in 6 months. At that time, we went from 15K on Bitcoin all the way up to 24,000. And then the same thing here about USDC depeg. Every time we have stablecoin FUD, it actually ends up resulting positively for the market. Number two is something a lot of people aren't talking about as much is the yen carry trade, which continues over in Japan. The 10-year government government bond yield surges to 1.84%. It is at the highest level since 2008. This has been going on for quite some time, but it really has gotten aggressive over the last 12 months. And this is something that is potentially holding the markets back as well. And then last, but certainly not least, on the Bitcoin side, is the fact that MicroStrategy is getting a lot of headlines on Twitter today, as far as MicroStrategy falling 7% on the day to its lowest level since October 2024. It's down 55% since October 6th, and one of the steepest declines on record. Now, what does the MicroStrategy stock have to do with Bitcoin price action? We obviously know how much Michael Saylor buys Bitcoin, and it is a good thing, right? He's vaulted a ton of Bitcoin. Well, the problem is that there are rumors that they may sell Bitcoin to balance out their balance sheet, which, by the way, doesn't look great. Bitcoin holdings at 55 billion, their debt at 8.2 billion, their cash reserve, which they announced today, at 1.4 billion. Their Bitcoin holdings minus debt plus cash is 48, and the market cap of MicroStrategy as of this morning was 45. So their net Bitcoin holdings are worth more than the company's market cap. Now, this is concerning. People are thinking they could sell Bitcoin to buy back shares to kind of rebalance this. So right now, the market is pricing in extreme amount of risk, and especially revolving around Bitcoin, because they could sell as, you know, Bitcoin's biggest public holders. That could be a big concern. But number two, the fact that if MicroStrategy was to unwind, what would that do to Bitcoin, the crypto markets? Would that be astronomically worse than what we saw with FTX? Let's just kind of dive into my thought process on that quickly. So number one, I don't think that MicroStrategy will go under or unwind or whatever the case is. I think that Saylor has enough pull, connections, funding that he will get themselves out of this hole, and this FUD here will probably pass over. If MicroStrategy actually had a catastrophic downfall, unwind, Bitcoin dumps like crazy, they have to sell their Bitcoins to rebalance the balance sheet and make shareholders whole, that would, in my opinion, be worse for crypto than FTX, because FTX was simply an exchange, a custodian that held a bunch of, money in crypto. Obviously, it was a horrible situation. However, if MicroStrategy collapses, the whole thesis of like a hedge against, inflation and currency, if the biggest Bitcoin holders end up going under with that thesis of their company, that's not going to be a good thing. So do I think it's going to happen? No. Could it be literally worse for crypto than if FTX was to unwind? Yes, it would. What am I doing at this time period? Honestly, this is the type of peak FUD that I am looking to buy. As crazy as it sounds, I mean, you get a 7% dip on Bitcoin over the day, 23% dip over the course of the month. I am buying, especially Bitcoin today. I have put in a few orders on my exchanges, and if those prices hit, one of them was at 85 and we just slid below that, so I'm happy with that. So I'm picking up a little bit of Bitcoin today because I think the FUD it's warranted, but I don't think it's going to actually follow through into a catastrophe situation. Number two, looking down the ladder here, looking to potentially add more Hyperliquid here under $30. I think that Hype is still one of the best absolute plays of this bull market, as well as 𝗏𝗏𝗏 at 250. I think those are my top buys, and I'm done playing around with shady foundations, shady teams. Those are two of the most transparent projects in the entire crypto space when it comes to altcoins. There are too many altcoins to spread your bags too thin. I am going to continue stacking my bags higher on my top conviction plays, and I'm not going to DCA low caps in this climate. I think we have time to wait on that. If I'm looking at low market cap projects, you guys know I love Xborg. They're actually holding ground pretty solid in this market, comparatively speaking to a lot of alts that are down 50% over the course of the month. But otherwise, I think I'm using my capital wisely in higher market caps today. And I'm also paying attention to the coins in the majors that are getting hit the hardest, because that's not a show of strength. Like the fact that it took took this long for Hyperliquid to go back under 30, that's actually very bullish for when we have a market turnaround. I think Hyperliquid's going to perform extremely well as obviously one of the most profitable businesses in all of crypto. Another thing that if you watched last week's video on Monad, so obviously it was a holiday, did not have a video over the course of the weekend. If you watched last week's video on my opinion on Monad and you actually did end up taking a short up here, that is paying quite nicely. And the comment section in that video was calling me an idiot, saying that Monad's different. This is gonna play out so, crazily well. I just don't see room for many more major chain layers in crypto. And if we were to go look at the on-chain metrics, it's not, crazy at this point, but we have seen a little bit of a decline here in TVL. I'll be watching this continuously, but I'm not the only one who thinks this. We have Arthur Hayes also saying that Monad is a useless, low float, high FDV token. And I tend to agree. So for the Monad maxis from last week's comment section, I'm sorry, but long term, this is absolutely a short. If we go through an alt season in the meantime, sure, this thing can go up. But I absolutely believe long term that Monad will play out as a great short position. So that is one active trade that if you got in, you should be crushing on that. However, for me, I'm looking to scoop up this dip. Otherwise. So as far as Bitcoin, Hype, and 𝗏, those are the three I'm focused on right now in this part of the market cycle, because I just don't think you should be looking at 15, 20 projects. I think those days in crypto are over. And it's no fun. I agree with that. Like, I hate the way that crypto has participated and acted over the last 18 months to basically obliterate most altcoins' relevance. And it's, there's no more fun and games of just spreading your tokens across the casino and things just go crazy. We might get back to a little bit of a time period like that, but we have to adjust our investment thesis to strength only and maybe a little bit of risky plays down that market cap ladder. And a big announcement. That'll kind of wrap up today's market coverage, as I am looking to DCA some strength, but otherwise I think that this FUD will pass over. We have a big announcement. So later this week, we will be doing our first live stream in partnership with Kalshi. So starting this week, we will be doing weekly shows on prediction markets. And instead of doing videos and recording them and putting them up here, we're going to be talking with you guys, actively trading the prediction markets and also trying to just give out as much value and as much winners, as much profit as possible. We are doing a 250 to 10K challenge. We are about 18% of the way there currently, and we will be looking to complete that challenge here live on In the Game Weekly, sponsored by Kalshi. So guys, we will see you on the next video. I'll be back tomorrow. As always, like the video down below, subscribe to the channel, and as always, please trade responsibly, stay bullish, and of course, play well, my friends.